Hey, I got my laundry going in the background, so I hope it doesn't bother everything too much. So I wanted to do an update to my fair economy system. I was processing the idea of like the currency of value, right? Like right now, I'll get into it, but right now all of our currency is just value, right? There's nothing else inside the currency. There's a lot of things in the currency, but all we're tracking is the value. So what happens when we pull everything out of the value, out of the currency, all of the physical values, then we can actually track it physically and pay for it physically. And then what's left is just value, but then it takes on a kind of, I guess I started trying to analyze the currency a little bit more because without all of the extra luggage, all of the extra weight to it, you could start sort of fleshing out what value really is. And like this is in no way conclusionary. It's really in the middle of processing, but I wanted to share it as just like a vlog for now. So recap of the fair economy system, we have our currency, and then inside our currency, obviously it's not a quarter. I'm sure that most of it represents other things than work, but we have work, land, resources, and value that are left. We can take out these as physical values. Work, we can track time. Land, we can track square area. Resources, we can track weight. But value, we can't really track, and it's something that will always sort of be there in our currency because that's really what currency was always representing. So here, just as an example of what happens once you start doing this. So the world's first large-scale indoor vertical farm for strawberries in Richmond, Virginia. I just saw this randomly, and I was like, hey, let's put this in. 30-foot towers to yield over 4 million pounds of berries annually on less than an acre. This method cuts water use, right? So it cuts resources by 90%, land use by 97%, and eliminates pesticides launching in early 2025. So this is exactly what we want to promote with a better currency. So now when these strawberries take up less land, they cost less land. So whenever you're paying your currency, right? We've got our currency. Whenever you're paying your currency, you're not paying for land anymore. Then also we have here on the right, just like an idea of automation. So this is the kind of thing that people would have had to do at some point at one day. Well, this is more complicated, but in general, you get the idea. You don't really need workers anymore. You can do everything automated. So the amount of work in products is also going down, right? And like the one thing that I always thought was really weird and dumb in the world is that people are fighting against automation. They're saying automation is bad. It's going to take all our jobs. It's like, let it take all our jobs. We don't want to work. Let it take all our jobs and let the economy be based on other things than work, right? Let's work less. But the way our economy is structured right now, we can't do that. We need to structure the economy differently in order to set up this kind of automation and for the economy to be successful in an automated future, which it's only going to get more and more. We're only going to get more and more automation. Okay, so the value of an item. So this is really what I sort of starting to try and break down what is value. So work is earned to increase work currency. Land is inherited and loaned to increase land currency, right? You can loan out land or like someone has to pay you for your land. So what are they going to pay you with? A land currency, right? Resources are excavated and recycled to increase resource currency. And I'm sure one day we're going to, get to the asteroids and excavate all the asteroids for resources, right? And then value is generated. Where does the value come from? Like what is and like to increase, how do you increase value, right? What is this value stuff? So I got it down to basically two options. So it could function just like any other currency and be transferred and used to indicate the value of an item. So so yeah, you have to pay value, whatever the person says it's worth, whatever you're willing to pay is what the value is. And if no one is willing to pay it, then the value has to come down, right? It's got to adjust with the market. And so, that could be where value is, but value, where does it come from? Like, where's the source of it? Right? It's in our perception. It's in how we see something. It's generated, right? Value is something that is generative. It doesn't come from anything physical. It comes from, maybe you could make an argument that it comes from a lower entropy product, right? A product that is more perfect. A more perfect product has more value, but that's not true either. You can have very imperfect products that are old and ancient, and they have a lot of value because they're original, right? The original, yeah. ancient artifacts, right? They have a lot of value. They don't have a lot of resources or work, maybe a little bit of work to maintain them, and land maybe because you have to store them for so long. But generally, where their worth is coming from is this value. It's generated. Um, and so like, where is this value being generated? Well, time has generated that value in that case, or what it was with the product, with the, I don't know. I don't want to get into the exact details of it, but so value doesn't actually cost anything to produce. It just means that some products have more value to the economy. So value, what I'm suggesting is value could be accumulated based on the amount of value a person creates over their lifetime. So we might not even have to spend value. Or maybe like, it's not, we could interpret value in many different ways. But one thing is true is that a person will be generating value over their lifetime. And when they pass on, when they die, then they will have a value number next to their name. And that the value that is next to their name is the value they've been generating over their lives, right? They've been accumulating this value. That is their value to the world, to the economy. And so it's like, it's a way to track that as well. So it means some people might provide negative value to the economy, and that's absolutely fine. You can provide negative value to the economy, and that's just going to be next to your name. So you can't really buy anything with your value currency if you're generating negative value all the time. You're going to have just the basics, the staples, right? The staples are going to have just a baseline value. So I don't know. What I wanted to get into was this idea of like value being generative. So value can therefore function according to a generative model. It doesn't cost anything to watch a video online, just as an example, but some videos are more valuable and garner more attention, right? And so, you're not paying any value to create this video. You're just creating something, and the value is increasing. These are valued more by society, and they generate value, thus accumulate value for whatever they generated them. So this video itself, now that it's gotten so much attention, not this video specifically, this video probably no one's going to watch, and thank you if you do. I know some people are going to say, oh, I watched it. Yeah, but yeah, I know. But the video that was generated, it's going to generate value as more and more people watch it. And then if you ever wanted to sell that video or whatever, it's going to have all of that value that people were watching it. Are you going to have to pay that value that was generated? It's the value that's attached to the video, right? So where does that value go? Does the value go to the person? Well, the value, I'm not valuable. Like, let's say I made the video, right? Let's say this is the video that got all this value. So I'm not, yes, I created the video, but the value is not in me. Where's the value? The value is in the video. The video holds the value. What does that even mean, right? It's generating value the more attention it gets. So all of the other currencies have a relative balance. They can't generate, they can't run away from themselves. They produce physically measurable values. But since value is generative, it can become exponentially concentrated in certain people, products, locations, institutions. And I don't know, it's just something that I wanted to process a little bit deeper. Like, it's hard to do that when we don't actually have the currency, when we're not, like, this isn't the system we're using, but or like it's not the system we might ever use. But I wanted to sort of like theoretically say, okay, what if we were using this currency? What is this generative component? What is this generative currency? Because value isn't as simple as I first thought it out to be. I wasn't even going to include value in the original idea of this currency, but it forced itself out there, and it's not something. It's becoming something that I didn't think it was, or I didn't understand it fully yet. So how can value be a currency if it is generative? So back to the video that generated value by guarding attention. That video intrinsically generated value. Therefore, the value that it generated becomes the value of the video itself. Value can still be transferred in order to purchase a product, but the product's value was still generated in the first place. When a person passes away, the work that society owes them passes with them. Like, you garner work in order to retire. That way, when you retire, you've got all this work that you can spend so that you don't have to work anymore, right? That's the purpose of retiring. So, you can still deal with all the other currencies, but at least work, you're no longer doing it. And if you have to work in order to buy products, well, then you have to come out of retirement, get a little bit more work, right? So the whole idea of retiring is working a lot when you have the energy. And then when you're older, maybe being at a work deficit where you have to work less every day but you have all of this work stored up, right? But when you pass, all that work goes away with you. Where does that work go? Can you pass it on, or does every individual person like, or can you donate it to a charity, or or can someone inherit your work? I don't know. It's just like these are decisions that I can't make. These are decisions that society sort of has to make. But I could see, one country doing one thing and another country doing another thing, and seeing where the chips land, whatever ends up being better for the people, right? Um, Sorry, that was a tangent. So the work that society owes them passes with them. The land that went into sustaining them passes with them. The resources that they consumed are lost, but the value stays, right? Like the value isn't in the person. The value that they garnered and they created stays in the world. The value attached to their name will always remain attached to their name. It's an indication of the value that they generated in their lifetime. So the indication of that value passes on, but the value itself remains. And so that's what I was thinking is like, okay, so we could track people based on how much value they're generating, but they don't have to spend any of that value. That value can that can be a separate tracker, right? You can trade value, actual physical value, but the generative side of the value is the interesting thing to track, right? Like the cumulative value over your lifetime. So it's not necessarily a currency, but it's a tracker, it's a marker, it's a way to track who is generating what value, right? So like you could see someone like Elon Musk, for example. Um, Maybe he was at the right place at the right time. Maybe he's got a lot more freedom to generate value now, but he's generating value everywhere. Any platform he's on, any message he sends out is getting value, has value already based on the value he's already garnered over his lifetime. Um, all right. Everything he's doing when he passes, he's going to have a lot of value attached to his name. But right now it's unconscious. It's not being tracked with numbers, but it's still there. It's still something, right? Like Isaac Newton, he's still generating value today. Things like that. So I don't know. It's just something that I'm thinking about and processing in connection to this, and I wanted to just put it out as a vlog just to get it out there. Um, a little update on myself. In I am in the IDF right now. I am um, getting recruited to another unit, which is a little bit more intensive and a little bit. It's going deeper into. I can't really say what I'm doing, but it's it might mean that I will be a lot less online. I will still try to make the Thursday, make time for the Thursday, at least show up to the Thursday hangouts. But anyways, the Thursday hangouts should still be happening. Everyone is welcome to join. The link is always in the description, and hope everyone's doing well. Just leave a what's up so I know you're alive. Okay, bye everyone.